So, um, and in my 33 years of watching the NFL, because I started watching the NFL around um, 2001, no, 2004. I started watching the NFL. I didn't really have a specific team. I had the Lions, but they wasn't my team. They were more of a team that I root for low key. Even when they went 0-16, they were still, you know, clawing and fighting. You know, but I said that what, I got to represent my my New York. You know, so I didn't really know there was a team in New York that played the NFL. Because I wasn't really familiar with how the NFL worked and this and that and the third. Um, so I said, okay, which team, or like the NFL has to have a New York team, right? So come to find out, they had three. They had Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, and they had the New York Giants. So I did my research on all three of them. Obviously, Bills never won a championship. Jets won one Super Bowl, and the Giants obviously won four Super Bowls. So I eliminated the Jets because, for one, they just didn't look the part. They didn't feel the part. Um, I eliminated the Bills. So no, it was down to two. You know, so it was either the Bills or the Giants. And I remember a game that the Giants played. Um, it was against the Broncos, and this is when Eli Manning was a rookie, and they drove all the way down to the field, and you know, and Eli Manning threw a game-winning touchdown to Toomer. Now, mind you, I wasn't a fan at that time. It was that game that made me a Giants fan because you went to four Super Bowls and you didn't win not one. Now, obviously, the one that they should have won, it was a kick. It was a missed kick by the Bills that actually won the Giants their fourth Super Bowl because they already had three. Um, no, they had three. My bad. Yeah, no, they had two at the time. They had two, and then after that, they had three. No, I think that was their first one. Yeah, I think that was their first one. I think that was their first Super Bowl because they didn't win until or like early 2000s or late 2000s, I should say. So yeah, I believe that was their first or second one, and yeah, so I scratched the Bills and became a Giants fan, and I started rooting for them and just learning everything about them and stuff. Um, but to me, the NFL has a position problem. Everybody's fixated on the quarterback. Quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, your team ain't going nowhere, right? I beg to differ. I believe the offensive line is the most important position because think about it, right? Like you can have any quarterback, pass or present. You know, you can have prime Vic back there. You can have prime Joe Montana back there. If you don't have the protection, your quarterback is useless. They have to do their job so you can do your job. If they don't block, you're going to get sacked. Eli Manning was the most sacked quarterback around, 2014, 15? I think Andrew Luck was number one, Philip Rivers was number two, and Eli Manning was number three. If you don't look it up, if you don't believe me, look it up. Eli Manning, I believe, was sacked 39 times. Yeah, Russell Wilson played with the garbage O-line. You know, Seahawks O-line was never great. It was his legs that was doing all the magic. You know, there were some games where they protected him well, and there were some games that they didn't. But he never threw any of them under the bus. To me, I believe the free safety or strong safety, whatever you want to categorize it, I believe that position is dead. It's kind of like the center in basketball. You know, like we don't have a lot of, great centers anymore. You know, like the game, like nobody wants to be in the paint no more. Everybody just want to, everybody just want to hang around in the corner and shoot threes. Nobody wants to, bang down low anymore. And the two guys that revolutionized the game was Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed. Just ball hawking safeties, just ball hawking players, had instinct, you could go Ronnie Lott, you can go Eric Berry, you know what I'm saying? You can go, Miles Dawkins. Oh, not Miles Dawkins, Brian Dawkins could go Eric Berry. They just had that aura and that knack to them that a few people don't have. Like if you look at the free safety landscape now, you can't really name nobody. It's a ghost town. It's been a ghost town. Because the NFL is just focusing on offense and quarterback. Like, that position died out a few years ago, That's why it's just like, it's basically like the WWE where you had so many great talents. You had a crop full of talent. You had Kurt Angle, The Undertaker. You had John Cena. You had up-and-coming Brock Lesnar. You still had a lot of great talent in the ruthless aggression era. Because everybody thought, Austin retired, The Rock went to Hollywood. Like how can you replace those guys? And the WWE did what the WWE do, and that is to make stars. Like it doesn't happen in the NFL. It's hard to replace an Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu or Tom Brady, because those guys did it at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, a rookie could come in and automatically make an impact because that's how both of those guys did it. Like Troy Polamalu, immediate impact. You know, Ed Reed, immediate impact. I remember he was playing in his first game. He had 2 interceptions. That is crazy. So if you think these rookies are gonna come in day one and set the tone, you're sadly mistaken. Now that these NI, 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 and I mean, now that these deals that's coming in where you can actually get paid in college, which is a stupid idea. Um, you know, I mean I think that's more gonna handicap the players now because now they don't even have to work on their craft. You know, now that they're getting paid in college, like eventually you're gonna have to, play your 3 years or your 4 years and then go to the NFL. And then, then you're gonna have to really work on your craft. But like these bags that they're handing out in college, these players are not gonna want to work on their craft, because they're getting paid. Whoever signed that petition is stupid. It should get banned from doing any sports activity because you rather want a person to work on their craft and then when they get to the highest level, like the money will come to them. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to bribe these collegiate players to say, okay, we're going to give you such and such money, because in college, like early 2000s, you had to work your butt off. Like you wasn't getting paid in college. You do your 3 years or your 4 years, and then you be eligible for the NFL draft, and you get paid there. But now with these deals, like these players don't even have to put in the work. Now I'm not saying that it's gonna happen to everybody, but a select few of them will be like, I'm getting paid either way. I mean, I don't fucking have to work on my craft and shit like that. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. But the evolution of positions are dying. I mean, they barely use fullbacks anymore. I think the only 2 teams that does is the 49ers and the Giants. I mean, you have eligible offensive linemen that's eligible as a tight end, which is stupid. I mean, obviously, you use a tight end. You use the offensive line to block. Like, offensive linemen can't even fucking catch, let alone do a route. As soon as they do a route and finish their route, that cornerback is going to be creeping all over the safety or linebacker. Because they're slow. That's why they're snailed up the NFL. Like, they're slow. Not mentally, but just physically. I mean, there's some offensive linemen that's fast. I ain't gonna lie. But majority of them are slow. 350, 320, So by the time they finish their route, that cornerback is already tripped all over them. Or that linebacker is tripped all over them, ready to intercept the ball. So I think the NFL is in a bad position, but it's not going to matter because y'all just going to continue to eat up and say, oh, I'm not watching the Super Bowl. And then come February, your ass is glued to the screen, ready to watch the Super Bowl. they didn't just say that you was not gonna watch the Super Bowl. It's like that Brian don't know what the brain wants. You know, like if you're gonna say you're not gonna watch the Super Bowl, all the Super Bowl things is just like this and that. Like Super Bowl is just only one game. You know, it's not a best of seven. It's not a best of two, three. It's one game. You know, so the NFL make it to where the game slows down. Like the Chiefs and the Eagles, that wasn't really a great Super Bowl to me. I viewed it as just a regular season game. I mean, there was no turning point. There was no nothing. It just ran like a regular season game. There was no Kodak moment. You know what I'm saying? Like there wasn't that specific moment that defined the whole entire game. No. Like I believe Super Bowl 42 had a defining moment. Super Bowl 40 had a defining moment. You know, the Super Bowl that the Patriots came back from down 28-3. That was a defining moment. You know what I'm saying? But these Super Bowls lack, you know, a certain thing. I don't know. It just lacks something. So, um, you know, Sean Taylor, I forgot to mention him as well. You know, um, like they just don't have safeties like that no more. You know, and I don't think they want to create, or I don't think they want to value that position. You know, um, so let me know what y'all think. Is the free safety position dead in the NFL? Yes or no? I'll leave the link in the description box down below.